Hey Frag fam, what is going on? I hope you guys are all doing well today. Elliot here and welcome back to The Fragrance Well. For today's video, got a full review for you guys. We are going to review the fragrance from Christian Provenzano Parfums Massimo. That's this one right here. I think I've actually already talked about it on the channel, so it's not the first time you guys are actually getting to see it, but we're gonna do the full breakdown. We're gonna do a presentation, what it smells like, talk about some comparisons, performance, compliment factor, and then I'll give my rating for the fragrance and just give any final thoughts as I normally do with my full review video. So that's pretty much the gist of it. So let's not waste any more time. Let's just go ahead and get right into the video. Before we do, as always, please remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and please hit that bell icon and enable notifications so you can be notified when I upload new videos. Let's get into it. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and get right into it. So we're gonna start with the presentation as I always do. I did already show you the outer box. This is the outer box for the actual fragrance package. So this just, opens up like any normal thing does. I don't actually have it in here. I already took it out. So we'll just go ahead and set that aside. And this is the full presentation here. It actually comes in a nice box like this. I'm gonna try not to drop the fragrance. I did a short doing this, but not everybody gets to see the short. But yeah, the fragrance sits in there like that. And again, this is Massimo from Christian Provenzano Parfums. And this is a brand where all the bottles look alike. They just changed the name on it. So I imagine it's the exact same thing with every presentation. They all look like this. So let me go ahead and pull the bottle out and then I'll go ahead and show that to you guys up close. Again, we've talked about this on the channel already, but we're just focusing on it for this. The bottles are this beautiful green color. Green's my favorite color, and this is like that deep emerald green. So I love the bottles, even though they all look alike. That's not really like a deal breaker for me anyway, but yeah, I love that green color. The cap is awesome. I do believe if you get a tester bottle, it will not have a cap like this. It'll be a simpler one. So just keep that in mind if you ever see like full presentation versus tester. The tester probably will not have that cap, just FYI. Christian Provenzano, a world-renowned perfumer, probably most notably known for his work with Boadicea the Victorious. But how about that? He does have his own brand, and I do think the brand has been out. But like late last year, it was marketed to the States. It's now available in many niche perfumeries throughout the States here, including my local one, which is where I got my nose on, I'm guessing the whole line, if not the majority of the line, as well as where I actually purchased this one. You may see some people selling some bottles from the brand, but it is not widely discounted, and I haven't seen like all of them available on discounters. But if you consider what you're going to pay for a lot of stuff from Boadicea the Victorious, depending on what you buy from it, these are all the same price, and I think it's like $315 US retail. So you compare that to these, that's could be a defining factor in terms of if you want to look into more of his fragrances. All right, so that is the presentation. So what does this fragrance smell like? I'm gonna go ahead and spray it on the strip. I'm not gonna spray it on myself because I'm gonna wear something completely different from this later on, and I do not want to deal with trying to scrub this off. This is an extrait de parfum also. I think all of them are. I'm not 100% on that, but I do believe they are extrait de parfums. But this scent here, you could say is fresh, spicy, with a little bit of a green touch to it. Spice here, more of the cardamom kind of spice. I think there may be some ginger, has a peppery feel, but it's not really that savory spice. It's more of a fresh spice. Also, once you kind of get past the spices, you're just getting this collection of incensey notes and resins, a little bit smoky. There's kind of a leathery feel to the fragrance for me. It does have a little bit of a earthy green touch. It's a little bit dry. And once you get past all those collections of incensey notes and resins, there is a little bit of an ambery touch to this fragrance. When it dries all the way down, the amber is kind of what is left behind, just giving a little bit of warmth to the scent. It's not overall sweet, but it does have a warm characteristic to it. But that's overall what you're getting from this scent. Fresh, spicy, gentlemanly, very, very classy, super high quality smelling, which is something you can expect from a Christian Provenzano fragrance. And I would say out of all the fragrances I got my nose on, quality was definitely not a question with any of them, even the ones that maybe had a little bit more of an artificial touch. So This fragrance smells absolutely amazing. To me, you can pretty much use this for anything. It's one of those styles of fragrances, which I sometimes find with these kind of heavy, incensey, dry, woody, spicy kind of fragrances. I don't really place them into an event category. I think you can just wear them for anything, but you just have to like that style of fragrance. That's kind of how I feel about this one. If you like fragrances like this, there's not really a situation where I would say, well, I would only use it for this. That's me personally. People may disagree, but that's kind of how I feel about these kind of fragrances. If you like the fragrances, you can use it for anything, to be honest. So that is what the fragrance smells like. Real quick, let's just go over all the notes. I'm looking at the notes on Parfumo.com. And we got cardamom, cinnamon, bergamot, ginger, leather. So there is a leather accord, so okay, that makes sense. Black pepper, pimento, pink pepper, and we got frankincense, amber, benzoin, cedarwood, labdanum, musk, sandalwood, stearax, tonka bean, and vetiver. And again, like I said, it's a heavy collection of incense, resinous notes, dry, woody notes, which is represented here, and then there is a leather accord, so I was right about that. Again, I was kind of questioning that. I haven't studied this note breakdown, and as you can see, is definitely a representation of fresh spices and even fresher notes like bergamot and ginger in here. All of that is well represented in this scent. So that's what the fragrance smells like. Let's move on to some comparisons. I don't have any direct comparisons for this fragrance in my cabinet. I do have some that you could say from a fragrance type standpoint are represented in my cabinet, and I will talk about those. But before I do, I don't normally do this. I'm looking at Parfumo.com. I see some people are saying that this is similar to X for Men from Clive Christian. They're basically saying it's Christian Provenzano's take on something like that. And I will say this, Christian Provenzano is known to basically do higher quality clones of popular fragrances. Matter of fact, there were two fragrances in the fragrance line when I checked them out. Unfortunately, I don't remember which ones they are, but there were two fragrances in the line that I made a direct comparison to. One of them, to me, absolutely smelled like a take on Elysium Pour Homme from Roche Parfums, and another one, to me, kind of smelled like Abercrombie & Fitch Fierce. So I do think this is just something that he does. So I wouldn't say that I think that's false. I do not own X, but I have smelled it, and I know it's one that I ultimately want to get, but it's not at the top of the list of things for me to add to my collection. But what I'm definitely gonna do is, next time I see X in my local Neiman's, because I think they got it there, definitely gonna smell it and probably spray it on skin and make sure that it is, if it is very similar to this, that I don't buy it, because I don't need two versions of it personally, unless there's a clear difference and I just like it. So anyway, that's what some people are saying is like a direct comparison. I'll have to jump into that a little bit more. But what I would say is, if you like fragrances like these, there's a good chance you might like this if you like these style of fragrances. One example, Amouage Jubilation 25. This smells nothing like Massimo, but what is it? It's an incensey, dry, woody fragrance that features resinous notes as well. And now, yeah, again, stylistically, it's the same type of fragrance because it uses those type of notes to build it, but it doesn't smell anything like it. But ultimately, that's kind of my point. If you like fragrances like this, there's a chance you might like this one. I like fragrances that feature a lot of resins and incense because it's a very diverse fragrance category. It can smell like a lot of different things. Case in point, another one I think you might like Massimo if you like this one, Interlude. I think if you like a fragrance like Interlude, you might like a fragrance like Massimo. Again, heavy on the incense and resins. Obviously, this is significantly darker than something like Massimo. I forgot to mention Jubilation 25, I think, is a brighter, lighter fragrance than Massimo. This is significantly darker than Massimo, but it still features incense, leather, woods, a little bit of spice, some smokiness to it. So if you like a fragrance like that, that's kind of ultimately my point. You might like Massimo as well. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the performance category. Now, this is not a room filler scent by any stretch of the imagination. I'm kind of glad it's not, because I think it would just be kind of annoying to other people's noses if it were. As I stated, it is a fresh, spicy fragrance, and the spice is very, very apparent. So I don't think it should be a scent that just is pushing across the entire room, because you might just have people just sneezing, frankly, when they smell the spice from this scent. That being said, Like I said, it's an extrait de parfum. It is featuring a lot of notes / ingredients that tend to linger on the skin. So from a longevity standpoint, this fragrance will last all day. It does last all day on my skin. I wouldn't quite call it beast mode, but easily 10 hours I can still detect it on my skin, maybe even longer. From a projection standpoint, it's not a weak projector. It's not a skin scent. It's just going to be kind of your personal space without being too overbearing. I don't know. I don't know what people even use to measure that metric anymore. For me, it's like it's either a room filler, or it's a little bit closer to you, or it's a skin scent. I don't really try to go much deeper than that. But this one is kind of your personal space kind of a fragrance. It does leave a really nice sillage though, so that's for sure, which is typical characteristic for fragrances like this in my opinion. All right, let's talk about potential compliment factor for this fragrance. In my opinion, fragrances like this, they may get compliments, they may not. I would say most of the time they're probably not gonna get compliments. If you do get complimented on a scent like this, it's gonna be dependent on the type of environment you're in, how you're dressed, how you're carrying yourself. I did mention I do think this is a scent DNA that I personally would kind of use for any situation, but that being said, I would still dress at least somewhat professional, casual. You don't have to wear a suit and tie or anything like that, but if you're out in like t-shirt and shorts wearing this, it's not gonna match that vibe at all, in my opinion. So yeah, I would still use it for just about anything, but within I'm taking care of something serious, or not just going around just to hang out kind of vibe, if you know what I mean. And even if I were just hanging out, I'm dressing at least, nice casual at a minimum for this scent to kind of really match how I'm presenting myself. But yeah, compliment factor on this, it's kind of 50-50 in my opinion. To my knowledge, from what I remember, I don't think I've gotten any compliments on this. I've worn it a number of times, but I haven't worn it like a crazy amount of times, so I maybe don't have a lot of data to really back that up. But in my opinion, this one's not gonna be that, oh, this one will get you compliments like crazy kind of fragrance DNA. All right, so let's kind of go ahead and wrap it up. Let me give a final rating and a couple of final thoughts on the scent. For me, encompassing everything that I have talked about in terms of how I've given the review on the scent, I give this an 8 out of 10. I think from a quality standpoint, it's a 10. I mean, it just smells so freaking good. The cardamom aspect, especially in this, smells exactly like ground cardamom, in my opinion. Everything else is just so well balanced because, like I said, this is a complex fragrance. You're getting a lot of elements in the scent, but it is all balanced out very, very nicely. I like how the fragrance develops on the skin. It's not a monotone fragrance. It does go through some development and changes as the fragrance dries down, so I like that. It's an interesting wearing experience. But yeah, for me, it's a solid 8 out of 10 when you consider, maybe the compliment factor, or, you can use it for anything, but you kind of got to dress a certain way to use it. So all that being said, yeah, I would give it an 8 out of 10, kind of thinking about how this fragrance comes together completely. And again, just my final thoughts. If you like fragrances that have fresh spice and smokiness, incensey notes, a little bit of leather in there, dried woods, that kind of heavy resinous and woody feel that's the fragrances that I kind of mentioned today have, then I think you would like this fragrance. If those type of fragrances don't really do anything for you, then this may not be one that resonates with you. Definitely don't blind buy it. But what I will say is this, in terms of the brand, Christian Provenzano Parfums, I do feel like he potentially has at least one fragrance that anybody can find something they like out of it. This one here is a little bit more, kind of upscale in a sense. It's a fragrance style that most people don't really go for, but he does have a couple of fragrances in the line that do exactly that. They can almost serve as a blue scent in some respects. All right, guys, that is going to do it. Let me know down in the comments below if you've gotten your nose on this scent or if you've already had it. I don't know the release year, but this is not a new fragrance to my knowledge, so there might be some people who have actually had their nose on this or had the fragrance for a while. Also, let me know if you've been able to check out any other fragrances from the brand. Let me know what you think about it down in the comments below. So, thanks again for watching all the way into the end. I really do appreciate you guys. Please remember to be well and smell well. And I will see you in the next episode of The Fragrance Well. Have a good one.